a very important foundational element for you to become proficient with for bodyweight strength training is going to be how to brace your core properly and how to breathe properly. These will also be the same things that you're going to do for loaded resistance training. The one difference is that for bodyweight strength training, a lot of what you're going to do is going to be in a hollow body position, which is that position where it's designed to provide maximum tension from head to toe and keep the body in one elongated unit to be able to manipulate it better, while offering maximal support to the lumbar region and to the core. Whereas with loaded resistance, you're going to be bending at the hips, bending at the knees. You want as much possible stability throughout the core, but it's got to be happening through a dynamic movement, where with a hollow body position, it's a little bit different. So what you're going to want to do is think about breathing. Then you want to think about bracing the core. The two go together, but they're not the same thing. So the way that most people would take a deep breath is intrathoracic breathing and through the mouth, which would look like this. And when I do it, you're going to notice my chest rise, shoulders open up. It's going to look like this. Okay, so that's not how you want to breathe. And the reason for that is we want to draw air in with the diaphragm pressing down on the viscera throughout the midsection, creating as compacted and tight of a cavity as possible. And the reason for that is so that it braces the abdominal wall and that it braces all the way around the sides and through the lumbar spine region. This is going to create stability and the strongest core possible. So that's why you don't want to breathe intrathoracically. So a proper breath is going to look like this. Through the nose, breathe down into the belly. Think breathe low when you breathe, and it should look like this. Now you should notice that my chest doesn't rise, shoulders don't open up. That's what you're going to be going for as far as breathing goes. Now, the way that bracing is different than breathing is that when you brace, you're actually shortening the abdominal wall. You're applying maximal tension to the abdominals, through the sides of your core around to the back, basically the lumbar region. So what's going to happen is, as a complete unit, your core is going to be as tight as possible. In gymnastics, you might hear, or in MMA or different sports, you might hear stay tight. In powerlifting, you'll hear stay tight. And that's what they're talking about, is tension throughout the hips, the abs, throughout basically your entire core around the back. And so what you want to do is you want to crunch in, for lack of a better word. You want to basically shorten the abdominal wall. And then from here, you're going to want to basically apply pressure, and you can use your hands to feel, when you do it properly, when you brace properly, you should actually feel tension in the lower back. You should feel tension in the sides, and you should feel tension in the front of the abdominal area. So as you take in that breath, your belly's going to come out, but you're braced, so it's compressed. So it's not going to come out to the extent that it did during normal breathing. And so what it's going to look like when you actually brace, you're going to take in a breath, then you're going to compress. Okay, and it will probably take some practice, but you're going to compress. And so when you compress, you can let some breath out as you go through repetitions. You're not doing a big deep breath with every single rep. What you're doing is letting out small amounts of breath with each rep, taking in a larger breath as needed. So again, when you brace from a full erect standing position with neutral spine, you're going to basically compress the abs, keep your spine neutral. If you were squatting, deadlifting, keep your spine neutral. You would basically compress the abs, breathe in through the nose, and then brace. When you brace, you're essentially squeezing down, pushing your core together. Again, you're going to feel it here. You're going to feel it in the lumbar. You're going to feel it here in the core. So if you brace properly, it's not just flexing your abs. It's not just tensing the stomach. It's not just an anterior exercise or practice. Okay, so when you do it right, you're going to take in the deep breath. You're going to have that breath that you breathe in is going to press down on the viscera, press against the abdominal wall, press out against the sides, obliques, serratus. You're going to feel it through all these muscles in your midsection. So when done properly, again, you're going to basically breathe in through the nose. Once you get your breath in, you're going to compress. And when you compress, all of this should be very stable. For a hollow body position, you're going to be doing this In addition, a little posterior pelvic tilt, tighten the glutes, tighten the quads for body weight strength training. For lifting, you're not gonna have posterior pelvic tilt. You're still gonna tighten glutes and quads and everything and maintain tension through a lift. But for body weight strength training, posterior pelvic tilt and that core bracing and that breathing properly is what's gonna give you the ideal hollow body position. So you wanna practice the breathing, practice the bracing, and then that's gonna make your hollow body complete and as stable as possible. It's also tiring. So just practicing a hollow body in a braced position is probably gonna wear you out, especially if you're not used to it. So anyways, that's how you breathe, that's how you brace. You put that into your hollow body position for body weight strength training. You do not use posterior pelvic tilt and do a hollow body when you're under a weighted load. So hopefully that makes sense for everybody. If you have questions, feel free to ask and I'll address them as quickly as possible.